Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Welcome to the Mindful Muslim podcast. Today we have our guest, Osman, who we talked about religious OCD with. We talked about how difficult it was. We talked about the solutions of it, and we talked about how to move on and recover from it. I hope you enjoy it, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome everyone. We are here in the Mindful Muslim podcast. I would say sponsored by Inspirited Minds, but this is by Inspirited Minds. And here we have today, we have Osman.
Yep.
Forgive me, I got it wrong straight away. And the theme of, I guess, today's episode is religious OCD and OCD. As probably everyone knows, I've suffered with OCD before. I've been on this podcast before. And I'm Adam Afghan, if you don't know. And this is just another episode on religious OCD and OCD in itself. And we just want to chat about it and talk about it. And there might be tea involved, there might be coffee involved. There isn't any now, but maybe later there could be. But yeah, I don't want to talk about myself too much. But Osman, go ahead, give yourself an introduction. What are you doing? Who are you? Your beard looks great. Mashallah. And what your kind of journey is to this point, I guess.
Yeah, so I'm Osman. So I used to be a medical student, dropped out because of the OCD sort of thing, though I should be returning, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Yeah, and I suffer from religious OCD, became bedbound, had severe panic attacks. Yeah, that's a quick summary.
If we'll go a bit deeper into the summary now. So where did you feel like for the listeners listening, the viewers viewing, they may have OCD, they may have these thoughts as well. So where did it start for you? You're like, hold up, something's up here. I need to be like, oh, this is a bit strange. What's going on?
Yeah, I say like I don't know when it like sort of started, but it sort of just gradually built up over time. But there was like a point where it just sort of started to like escalate really, really quickly. Every single day I was just getting worse and worse and worse. And a lot of that came from like reading stuff online, like Islam QA stuff.
Oh yeah.
And
that will get you, man. That will get you. Yeah.
I was reading a lot of that, and then my obsession sort of like developed around like excessive fear of, is it halal or haram? Like I was worrying, like, are my bananas haram to eat?
I got you.
Like no normal individual does that, right?
Yeah.
I was worrying about like my business, so like everything, any sort of transaction, it had to be like, I had to check the minutest details of it.
Oh, right.
And in like a product description, for instance, I couldn't use words like it's perfect for like all suitcases, because what if there's like one suitcase out there in the world that it's not suitable for? Then all my income, all my money that I've earned, that's all haram.
It got to that extent.
Yeah, it got to that extent. And like fear of lying, which we touched on before we started the podcast.
By the way, guys, we were talking about this. We started a pre-podcast, basically. We were talking about everything. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So fear of lying. So that counts in the business side of things, but also like when telling the time and stuff, I had to be precise, and if not, I'd apologize, and it'd be in like a specific way. So I'd apologize, like if the time was 5:13 and I told the person it's 5:15, I'd have to apologize. I'm sorry, I told you the time was 5:15, but it was actually 5:13, and the current time is now 5:16.
Oh wow! That's tough. That's super tough.
Yeah, so I'd have to go to like that kind of extent in apologizing. And if they just say like, okay, like, because obviously
it's not good enough, is it? It's not. It doesn't fulfill. It doesn't fulfill you.
I need that they've accepted my apology. So I'm like, do you accept my apology for telling you the wrong time?
And I guess that even goes to that. Say if it's a person you're at uni, you seem strange. You're like, what is this guy talking about? Like, okay, leave me alone. It's like, and to be honest, like I think OCD is like, it's the enemy of uncertainty. Uncertainty is your enemy in OCD, right? So like, say for example, even if they're like, yeah, accept your apology, how do you know? You'll never know, because you can't go inside their head and be like, okay, it's 100% accepted. There's no certainty, even in this life. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I completely forgot what
we were talking about time and saying sorry and these kind of compulsions.
Yeah. So there was also, let me think of some other ones.
There's probably loads, right? So I can tell you a bit about mine. So I had similar things. So I have I guess that's definitely along the lines of religious OCD. It's like moral scrupulosity, moral OCD, where you feel bad about something, you have to say sorry a lot. And from when I was doing it, if I didn't say sorry, it would be like when I was going through some like CBT therapy. The therapist would say to me, "Okay, where on the scale of things?" Like, say, for example, there's this issue you feel really bad about it, you have to say sorry about it and all the time. And it's like, okay, if you killed someone and hit, and it was like, they used to say, like, okay, it's not nowhere near killing someone, for example, you've murdered someone, but it would feel almost as bad as that. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you can't, and that's what's, I think it's really difficult for people to understand, like, how difficult it is to, the thought and how uncomfortable it makes us feel, because we have this OCD brain. We have this, as you said before, it's a chronic issue, right?
Yeah. I think I didn't touch upon like my biggest theme.
Go ahead.
Things that took like my whole life, basically for the past year or so. And that was like impurities and constantly washing, showering, taking hours.
Yeah.
I even injured like my foot and stuff from like from standing with like one foot in the sink and one foot outside and for like 45 minutes and then like the pressure and like balancing, because I had to do it at awkward angles because I couldn't step on this part or step that part,
and it would make it impure because if you're doing this you had to do it completely. I got you.
So like picked up physical injuries from a
mental health issue, basically.
From mental health issue. And when I became bedbound as well, like I wasn't moving. So before I used to go like gym 5 to 6 times a week. I used to eat healthy, and then once I became bedbound, I was laying on the bed all day, no movement.
Why is that? Why was that?
Because I felt everything in my home was impure, so I couldn't touch a single object. And so normally when before I transitioned to the bed, I actually transitioned to it to make my life easier. Because it meant that I didn't have to do anything, or I didn't have to constantly wash, because I could just remain in this impure state and just live life as an impure individual. And I just relied on Allah's mercy that, you know, my prayers would be accepted and so on. But so I moved there for ease, for comfort. But so
did it help? Did it make things worse, or did it help?
So, like in the short term, like
that's OCD in a nutshell, isn't it? Yeah.
In the short term, it felt great. Like I could just lay there.
I'm good here.
But that's when like things started to get really, really bad. Because after a bit, it sort of, you start to realize, like, is this the rest of my life, just laying on a bed?
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. And then so when I was on the bed, I'd be like fully impure. So I wouldn't before I'd be worried like maybe my hand, maybe a bit of my a bit of my hand, bit of my clothes or something is impure.
The microphone.
Yes, sorry.
Is it up a bit more? There we go.
All right, cool.
So like, when you were bedbound, like when you were in this position, it's like it's a very, it's that we talked about like the OCD and how it's like a short-term comfort to like fulfill your compulsion. You've watched for like a few minutes, maybe even a few seconds, you might feel fine, then it comes back again. What if something else, and you contaminate yourself? Contamination OCD is a big theme, right? What happened after you were bedbound, and what's next in that story?
So once I was bedbound, then I was like messaging a lot of imams and stuff for help, advice on questions on things. But eventually, you know, I sort of realized that I need to like get better. I can't continue living life like this. So I made a stupid plan to I basically got cling film, PVC sheets, dishwashing gloves, and I cling filmed my whole room, my table, everything, my cupboard. I had separate steamer stuff bought, where I dry my clothes, all of that bought separately. And the first time it arrived, it got contaminated before I could even use it. So I had to return all of it, order it again, and then I had to wrap everything, and then so I was speaking to a lot of imams and stuff. But this point I changed. I wasn't asking questions about like impurities or is this impure, because a lot of the time they'd say to be on the safe side, just wash it. Or
that doesn't help, does it? Like,
no, or they'd be like sort of vague advice,
very general.
Yeah.
Like, oh, go on, make wudu again, or so, like something like that. And it's
but and even if they did recognize it, they didn't realize the extent to which I was going, or so they'll just say like, don't worry about it.
Exactly, and
like you don't need to worry about it. It's to this kind of extent, but that doesn't provide the brain comfort.
It doesn't. They don't understand how to treat OCD, right?
Yeah.
They're just imams. They're normal people. They probably think it's just maybe just a bit of a thought. Oh, go on, make your life easier. Just forget about it. So obviously it got quite. I guess it got to very kind of extreme OCD where it was like it's affecting your everyday life.
Yeah.
So you reached out to some imams, some I guess religious people, and I guess you didn't get the answers that that were very basically helpful enough. What happened then?
So then at that point, I started to think like this is the rest of my life, being on a bed.
Yeah.
Maybe I could transition to like the pure environment that I built. But I basically planned to never leave the home other than for Jummah.
And that must have been difficult anyway, going
to
the masjid.
I guess like people can relate with like lockdown and stuff.
Yeah.
But this is like being confined within your own home to not being able to touch things in your own home, with no freedom. It's like being held in a prison cell.
Exactly. It's like your mind is holding you prisoner, right?
Yeah, and then so I was at medical school, and then I didn't really want to do medicine at the time, but I wasn't planning on dropping out. There's this thing called like a intercalation, which is like where you do 1 year in something else. So I wanted to do management for my like interest in business and things, but what I read was like it's really intensive, like you have to go in person a lot, and I thought no, I can't do that. So then I thought, what's the point of finishing this medical degree? Like if I'm going to live the rest of my life from being on this bed, the medical degree is going to give me absolutely nothing. So I just dropped out at that point. I didn't even consider like taking a year out or a mental health break, because I didn't see myself recovering. I thought this is it.
Can I just ask, what was it like in the house? Was your family with you? What were their thoughts?
So we moved the bed into the living room. So
how was your family's reaction? Because did they understand? Were they like, okay, this is go ahead.
I didn't also explain to them like fully the religious aspect of it, because I was like too embarrassed
I've got you
to say that part of my OCD. So they more understood it as just like contamination OCD. They didn't get I did tell them it's religious OCD, but like they didn't fully understand like that was the main component behind it. But in a bad way, because I guess my family loved me too much, so they were too supportive, and they like my mum.
Mashallah, what can you say?
My mum helped me a lot in like the compulsions and stuff. So they
reassure you, right?
Reassure me, and she started doing my compulsions for me. Because the cleaning used to take me longer. My mum could do it quicker, and I wouldn't know necessarily. So I'd be like, okay, you know what? She's probably done it correctly.
And we know OCD, like the worst thing you can do is give into the reassurance. You have to kind of be in the uncomfortable. You have to be, in your case, you have to be contaminated. You have to sit with that uncertainty of being contaminated.
But the thing is, for them, they didn't really understand that side of things.
Course.
And for me,
why would they understand? Like it's not like a general knowledge thing, is it? It's a very difficult thing to understand.
For me, it was like it's a quick, easy comfort. Like you don't have to live with the anxiety, even though it'll return pretty quick. So my parents was like supporting me in my compulsions. Like they supported me from living from bed, so like everything would be given to me there. So the family sort of contributed to it. But
out of love. Out of love.
But I guess when like I decided to leave medicine, like they sort of realized like, you know,
something's up.
But so I couldn't hug them, couldn't do things like that, but like we still had decent family time. Like that was the only thing I could enjoy, like time with the family, on the bed in the living room.
So I guess you understood what was, you knew it was like something was wrong. Did you know it was OCD? I guess it's kind of the stereotypical OCD almost, right? Like
Yeah.
contamination.
Yeah, I knew it was OCD, but like you still doubt what if it's not OCD?
Yeah, what if it's just this is how it is? I mean,
No, I used to think like maybe this is just how it is to be a Muslim, how to be a good Muslim, to have your prayers accepted. This is the sort of extent
This
you
is
have
you
to go
gotta
to. So like I used to convince myself that like this world is a prison for the believer, right? I'm
literally making it a prison.
I'm
like,
making it a prison.
So what? Like, so there's so many different aspects to talk about. Is it you went to the imams? I guess you didn't receive the guidance, which they unfortunately they don't understand OCD, so they would give you generic advice, very vague stuff, very kind of general things. Your family, obviously, Allah bless them, they tried their best, but again, they don't understand the best way to treat it. And we know OCD, ERP, exposure response prevention is the gold standard for it. Go to CPT. What did you do when it was like, okay, your family knew it was going, again, you can't quick drop out of medical school, come on, what's going on? Like, how did you be like, okay, something's up, how do I, as you said, I need to fix this?
So the first part, there was like two parts to the therapy. The first one was like going to the NHS. So I had a mini panic attack in the shower after I came home from university, and so I like broke down into tears, and I just couldn't take it anymore. It was too much to deal with. So I went to the GP that day, broke down in tears again in front of the GP, told him everything that was going on, and so then he put me on the waiting list, started medication and things. But inside, I knew this is not going to do anything. Like I was just hoping that the medication would fix it, because I didn't trust the therapy, because like non-Muslims don't understand how we live our lives. The reason behind our thinking, especially like with impurities and stuff, like I didn't think they would get it. They wouldn't understand, and they just make me do stuff which goes against religion, is what I thought. They'd make me pray and make it invalid. Like,
yes, you don't have wudu when you pray, for example, or something like that. No, I totally see that.
So I thought they would do that side of things, and that's why even after I got that started on the waiting list and things, I was still contacting imams and stuff, because I needed religious advice, I needed religious support, and eventually this is where I changed my questioning to like, I got OCD, help me. And then one of them said, there's this Sheikh Abdullah Misra, and he's like, this is the perfect guy for you. And then so I go on his Instagram page and it says OCD counseling. I think, wow, brilliant. Start messaging him, and then so then I started like realizing, but without that, communication where you can go back and forth very easily, it was difficult to fully start like the therapy, because you can't start therapy through messaging.
No, you need to have conversations, right? You need to have a legit conversation.
Yeah, and then but before I started therapy, I went to my room and I ripped off all the cling film, everything.
Alhamdulillah.
And
Allahu Akbar. MashaAllah.
And then I spread the impurities everywhere. And then, so I thought, this is it. This is perfect, right? Like, I've spread the impurities, I've done everything. And then it just sort of dipped straight back down into the same old OCD habits, same fears, same everything. It started again. But because my family saw the improvement I had from speaking to him just through Instagram, they were like, all right, like let's get
proper sessions in, right?
Yeah.
And can I ask, when you were going through, when you were messaging the Sheikh, Allah bless him for this and helping you, what did he say? Did he say? Yeah, tell us what he said.
So he said a lot,
MashaAllah.
Yeah, but he sort of helped me reconnect with religion. Like, so I detached from like these Islam QA stuff and searching for answers and things. Took a more deeper, more spiritual approach to religion, where like learning to rely on Allah's mercy and
of course,
and like understand what it truly means. And as well as that, there was also like the ERP side of things. So exposing myself to the fears, because OCD is a medical condition, right? So you can't
solely do spiritual stuff.
It can't solely be fixed by just spiritual therapy, because our brains function differently. You have to train it to get adjusted to what should be normal.
Yeah, and it's the same. For example, if you have a broken leg or you have, I don't know, a kidney problem, you wouldn't treat that spiritually. You would go to the doctor. It says, why would we treat this any differently? But yeah, so you chatted on Instagram and you thought, and your family saw, alhamdulillah, he's ripped off the cling film, basically. He's chucked it all. That's great progress, mashallah. And that was probably quite difficult for you to do, right?
Yeah.
That took courage, right? That must have taken bravery to actually do it, because you're going against kind of your everything about yourself.
Because I realized that wasn't sustainable. Like, there's no way I would have been able to live my life like that.
Of course.
So I knew I had to change, and that was something I couldn't do at all. So so it just made sense to rip everything off. And so after that point, I still had those OCD tendencies. So I still felt things were impure. I was still washing, but slowly I started like breaking down, started, sitting on the sofa rather than on the floor or something.
Nice, mashallah.
And then then there was like a point where it sort of went a steep improvement as well. Sort of just like a kind of clicked what was being said in therapy and stuff. And then sort of been ups and downs since then.
That's so there's so many points to touch on there. So I suffer with OCD as well. I basically had the same thing as you, like same process of like understanding what's going on, connected to the spiritual side. And I think a massive point with me, because I've had this sort of contamination OCD. I used to spend a long time making wudu in the shower. My skin used to crack and it used to be painful because you're spending so long in the shower and you shouldn't be spending an hour in the shower. But there's a point that you mentioned, it's a beautiful point. Allah is most merciful. Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. Allah knows what's in our heart. Allah knows our intention. It's not like a checklist of like, oh, boom, boom, boom. Oh, my salah's not valid. Allah knows. There's no need to even think about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you and I guess an important part is knowing Allah. Connecting the spiritual side of your existence, understanding what your purpose is. And I feel like that and the actual ERP, which you mentioned, that got you to rip the cling film off. Those two together are like Allah is the most beautiful method to treat OCD. So we went to the sessions basically. You got how did that work out for you? And were they remote? Were they in person? How did you get it done?
They were online. Nice. So he was based in Canada, so it had to be online. And I think I had like 8 sessions in total, because I spent a long time messaging him. Of course. He constantly kind of tried to get me to start the therapy, but I was like really reluctant to do it.
It's scary, right? It's just like so I think sometimes you have to admit to yourself something's wrong. And it's like, I remember when I was in therapy and my therapist, Allah bless her, she helped me so much. She told me, Adam, you probably need to have medication. I started crying. I was like, when someone says you have to have medication, it's like something's wrong. So when you admit something's wrong, you be brave to take the courage to get better. And that's what you did, mashallah. So tell us about the sessions.
So there were 8 sessions that I went. I think I touched up on the spiritual aspect of it and the ERP side of things as well. But when I had my very first session, he told me one thing. He told me, I can't fix your panic attacks, right? Because he said, I'm not a medical professional, so I can't fix your anxiety. Right. So I was a little bit worried there, Well, hold up, I came here for help. What do you mean you can't help me? So the panic attacks were by far the scariest thing for me. That's the closest I felt to death.
Really, subhanallah.
I used to say the shahada, and I used to think, this is it, I'm going. You lose control of your body. It's really rapid breathing. You don't feel as if you're in your own body. It feels like you're viewing, you're outside of your own body. Wow. And you actually feel like you're dying. It's symptom of a panic attack. You feel like you're dying. That's
mad. Wow.
Yeah, and so I remember this one particular time. I was laying on the kitchen floor, and I closed my eyes. I took a deep breath in, and then my brain's telling me, my family's standing there, they just think I'm just laying, because the panic attack sort of died down at this point. But I took a deep breath in, closed my eyes, and my brain's telling it to breathe, to open your eyes. Nothing's happening. I just laid there, and I thought, this is it. I'm going.
So you weren't doing your brain was telling you to do these normal functions, but your body wasn't doing it. Is that what was happening?
Yeah. So I was like, breathe, but nothing, no air's coming in. And the thing is, I can't hold my breath very long normally, but
I don't think anyone can.
yeah, but I don't know. It felt like a few minutes, just like laying there, not breath going in.
And what happened in that situation? Was it 999 situation, or is it just like it calmed down? What happened?
My family was like, yeah, we'll call it 999. But the thing is, they'd always say that whenever I had a panic attack. And the one thing I'd scream in a panic attack is, don't call them, I'll die. If you call them, I'll die. So then what are they meant to do? You're put in a position.
That's a really hard position.
Yeah, he's going to die if you call 999. So
if I don't, what's going to happen? I don't know what's going to happen. So how did your family help you in that situation?
There's nothing you can do really in a panic attack. It just sort of dies down with time. But so that was the thing I was worried about, because he mentioned the anxiety side of things that might not be like, because he's not a medical professional, it's the anxiety might still be there. So that was what I was worried about. But alhamdulillah, like that just sort of just went down with the OCD.
Yeah, of course.
Because it was sort of like pretty much correlated to the OCD. So if the OCD went, the anxiety would go. But I say go, but OCD doesn't really.
It doesn't go. And I think sometimes people ask me like, oh, I want to get cured of OCD. Unfortunately, it's not. It's a condition. It's genetic. I heard it's genetic, right?
Yeah.
It's a genetic issue, and you can't cure genetic issues. I mean, but you can get to a point where you can manage it. You can make this massive monster. The issue you had in your room, it was this huge thing, right? But now, alhamdulillah, it's suppressed into something much smaller, much manageable. You can carry around in your pocket almost, rather than taking over your whole life.
Yeah.
So you went through that. Was there anything specific in the sessions which really helped you, that stood out to you, that kind of got you back on track?
Yeah. So one thing, like I always felt like if I was spreading impurities or praying with impurities on me or something, like I was sinning, my prayer is invalid. It's pointless, right? But what I learned is it's a form of ibadat. Like if you so I would think I'm sinning, but rather than sinning, what I'm doing is I'm getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from like not engaging in the compulsions and stuff. Yeah,
exactly. It's almost like good jihad, right?
So it's all like flipped. It went from like being sinful for doing what I was doing to
benefiting you, to like being rewarding you.
Yeah,
do you know
exactly.
What I mean?
So that's like one thing I take with me like till this day. Whenever I'm in like a down period, maybe OCD is getting worse, I always remember that you're doing this for the sake of Allah. So
exactly. And I had a similar thing when I was at therapy. My Muslim therapist, mashallah, she told me that she was like, when you have these thoughts, when you start to engage in them, it's like, don't, because it's gonna push you into a worse place. So your jihad, your struggle is to fight against it. So my fight against was not to engage in these thoughts and cut it off. That was the response part. My mental response, my physical response would be to don't engage in these thoughts, accept it, and just carry on, and not ruminate about it, and not keep thinking and pondering on it. So that I had a very similar kind of conclusion as well, and that still helps me today. So again, you were 8 sessions. I guess you learned these, I wouldn't say tips and tricks, but you learned these very, very kind of ways of managing your OCD. After that, how did you feel when you came out? And I guess how long ago was this when you...
So I finished therapy, I think a few months ago or so.
MashaAllah.
But like if I describe therapy, it was like absolutely life-changing. Like my life went from restrictions, like constant worry, anxiety, to like being free. I felt like a completely different person.
I agree, yeah.
And on top of that, like I reconnected with religion in a way where I felt I was like practicing. I was getting closer to religion than like through all this messy stuff that was going on.
Yeah. And that's not from Allah. Didn't tell us to do that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's really interesting. It's like when Allah puts you through the struggle, like it's your test basically. Yeah. And I think OCD was my test, and it continues to be our test. And anyone who's listening or watching, this is the trial Allah has given you, and it's our response to it. How are we going to respond to it? And we can go to therapy. We can we can understand what OCD is, understand the best way to actually manage it and people say recover from it, and I guess that's a better expression. Recover from OCD, and you get to a place where you understand, alhamdulillah, my reason for existing. What you become closer to Allah, and you see sometimes the trial is actually a method for you to get closer to Allah, which in itself is a blessing. So how did you come out of that and be like, how's your now relationship with Allah compared to before?
So like, the one thing is like, you can't appreciate something truly until you like lose it, right? So like, whether you have eyesight, we just take it as for granted, like on a daily basis. But when I lost like the ability to touch things, to hug family, like sit on a sofa, like I take those things as a complete blessing. Like being able to sit on a sofa and watch TV, that's like a huge blessing that we don't just take for granted. Being able to step outside your home is like,
of course,
like so now all of these things, they like feel amazing.
Alhamdulillah, that's beautiful to hear.
Yeah, like so all these small actions now feel like huge blessings. So like so you feel a lot better about, like I always used to think now, like when I do something, like it's crazy I couldn't do this like a few months ago, I'd be like panicking or something, and now look at me, like alhamdulillah, I can do whatever I want to do, so, and then like the focus in prayer came from it as well, because you're not constantly ruminating about those thoughts and things. So better focus in prayer, and like sort of just breaking it down into basics, religion, like starting from the basics, like just pray, Quran, give charity,
exactly, and all the acts of ibadah. Like I guess when you go through these hardship, you kind of call out to Allah, please help me type situation, and the Quran becomes more important. And those things, like we know the Quran is a shifa in itself. It's a healing, and that for me, it's still an integral part of, I guess, managing OCD. For example, it's something which is a protection, and something a protection for your own self almost. Do you see what I mean? Because it's a nice way to relax and also calm yourself down a bit. Like actually have the protection of Allah from recitation of the Quran. But I wanted to. You mentioned something important there, like having that you feel great about doing these small things. I remember going through therapy and coming out with it, and then seeing the progress and the improvements happen, and you feel free. You're like, oh my God, even just to sit there, watch TV, or just sit in something like this and just be at peace for like not having your brain absolutely smash your head in. Like that's what it's like.
It feels like your brain's going at like 2,000 miles an hour.
And it's exhausting, and you're literally, it's exhausting. Sleep, wake up, and the thought comes in your heart that sinks, and you're like, oh, here we go again. To get to the point where you feel comfortable and you're more at peace is a blessing. Yeah,
my OCD didn't even leave me in my sleep. I used to have panic attacks during my sleep.
Way.
I used to
wow.
I used to think about like impurity spreading while I was sleeping. So I didn't get peace when like anytime.
Yeah.
So it was like 24/7 burden. So like even sleeping now, like when you're not thinking about it, it's beautiful.
So So you've finished therapy. I guess you're in a place now where you're feeling better about yourself. Things are getting better, much like returning to medical school. Allah put a blessing in it, and inshallah you enjoy it more now. What things are you doing in your life actively to kind of not fall? I want to say fall off the wagon, but like it is fall back, get off, or stay on the track of like recovering from OCD and being on that kind of path where you don't fall off the path again.
Yeah. So the one thing my therapist told me was like, you have to remain on the offensive. Like it doesn't stop. Yeah. It doesn't stop here. Like you can't go back into the same old habits, like checking Q&A, and those kind of old habits. You have to take them out completely. So it's about remaining on the offensive. And it's after I left, like in between therapy sessions, like there'd be a period where I wouldn't like not go against the thought, but like I'd be like comfortable, like it's impure, it's okay, but I'm not gonna touch it. But
you're not really it's not as offensive. Like
it's
not. You're not attacking it as much.
Yeah, not attacking it. So now if I have like that sort of doubt, let's just touch it. Let's spread it. Let's have it all over me.
The exposure, that's the definition of exposing yourself. Yeah, right?
It doesn't fare me.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. Like, you really have to attack OCD. I was doing some OCD group sessions as like a therapy of OCD Action.co.uk, I think it is. And one of the guys there, Allah bless him, he was saying like OCD is a liar. Like OCD was never going to tell you the truth. not once has OCD told you the truth. That those OCD thoughts, that part of your brain it's a liar. It's never going to tell you the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you believe it? It's never told you the truth once. So you have to attack it and assume it's lying. If this is dirty, this is najis, this is contaminated, I'm all good with it. If I don't say sorry to that person, I'm an awful person, I'm terrible, I don't deserve anything. Yes, you are. You don't deserve anything. And you attack it like that. It seems counterintuitive because it's almost painful to do it.
Yeah.
But you are going to get better if you do it. And it's retraining your brain to not go back into those habits where you think there's some anxiety, there's some type of danger if I don't do this or I do this. But yeah, you have to be on the offensive. I totally agree. And how are you doing that nowadays, basically?
Nowadays, so the thing with OCD is the doubts don't like fully go away. You're still gonna have those doubts, those obsessions creep back up. Of course. It's just like when you get it, you just have to remind yourself. Like I said, I remind myself it's like if I go against it, it's a means to get closer to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. So it's not like I'm being sinful or anything. It's So
it's exactly, and it's like the struggle will bring you closer to Allah, and it's interesting, like because it sounds like waswas. It sounds like you're with shaitan. How did you ever think about like where we were chatting about this before, but the two cross, like the waswas, or this is a legit mental health OCD, or are they both almost the same? What do you think about that?
Yeah, so it's difficult because it's like the lines are all blurred between both. But for me, it's like when things start to get really extreme, start to get really out of control, that's when I realize, I probably have OCD. I say probably because I still doubt,
I got
is it OCD? But when the shower started to take hours, when I couldn't use the toilet outside home, when these things started happening, like I knew this is like out of control. This is not normal.
Yeah. I remember there was an instance when I was I had to pray outside. I was out and about. I didn't have wudu. I used to make wudu. I didn't do it properly. I need to do it again and again and again. And you can miss the salah at this point. You could literally miss your prayer because I don't have it. I need to redo the salah. And this is this constant battle. And I guess it's from the shaitan. It's from shaitan. It's that, okay, you're not doing it. And shaitan doesn't want you to pray your salah. Do you know what I mean? So it's that battle against the waswas as well, but also you trying to be in the offensive of the OCD and be like, for example, if you think, I don't have wudu, I broke my wudu, okay, Allah knows, I'm just going to carry on praying. It's more beneficial, and it's more beneficial to your relationship with Allah just to go do it and fight against what
you sort of have to learn to live with that doubt, because nothing is ever going to be 100% certain.
No.
Like things used to happen like right in front of my eyes, and I still doubt whether it happened. So like, for example, I'd wash my hands, right, and I had to do, one of the steps was like I had to wash the tips of my fingers individually, so like 1, 2, and I kept going back 1, 2, 1, 2, and like, so I couldn't like continue on to the next step because I think, did I do that one properly or did I not? So like that's literally, I can see it with my own eyes. I can see it's getting washed. It's completely wet. It's being washed, and I still doubt if it's not. So it's sort of understanding that if something so obvious right in front of my eyes, I'm doubting, then like everything else is just doubt.
Exactly. And it reminds me of like, I still have this OCD. I did it this morning, locking the door. I don't know if you do this. I think a lot of people do. I lock the door. Is it locked? And I know it's locked, but I check again. I'm like, is it locked? And it's sometimes painful to keep checking because you don't want to do it, but you're kind of what if, and you have to do. And then I'm like halfway, almost left, and I'm like, I need to go check again. And I know when that happens, there's some type of anxiety. What if someone breaks in? What if someone takes my stuff? What if something awful happens to the place? You just have to accept it and be like, yeah, of course, it could happen. Like, I may not have done it, but that's the fight you have to do. And this is, I think, what you said so perfectly is you have to be on the offensive all the time. And that's the struggle with OCD. It's a difficult disorder to live with, but it's also difficult. And you have to be brave. You have to be courageous to fight those fights. But over time, those fights get easier, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess those fights you've had from the start when it was at the strongest, how have you seen those fights kind of gone on from before therapy, after therapy, and you practicing now? What you've learned.
So before therapy, there was no fighting.
Yeah.
It was, I just have to do what my brain tells me to feel that temporary relief, comfort. During therapy, like I said, that just completely changed. Like absolutely life-changing experience to like when my therapist told me, like, by the end of these sessions, like, you'll be doing this and that, I thought, is he crazy? Like me touching and doing that? Nah, I don't think so. When I started therapy, what I really wanted out of it was I just wanted to reduce my compulsion time, so it takes less time, or like I didn't think I could get cured of this problem because I felt like it was so real. The fear and like the danger I felt was so real that it couldn't be cured. So what I told like the NHS therapist when they asked was like, what do you want to get out of therapy? I said, I just want the compulsions to take less time so I can sort of continue with some normality. But that doesn't exist. If you're,
what did they say to that, by the way, when
they just accepted that?
Really?
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah, they didn't tell me that
that's not really a proper thing. That's not a cure. It's not going to help you, basically.
Yeah, that's not what they're trying to achieve through therapy either. But they didn't tell me that.
Interesting.
They just accepted it, noted it down.
Go ahead.
Yeah. But that's why I wanted out of therapy. I didn't expect to be living life how I am now, because like how I'm living my life right now is like, it's like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's like doing something you thought was impossible. Like I'm living my impossible dream.
MashaAllah.
Like it seems simple to other people, like it just, going about your daily life, but for me it's like an absolute dream at one point to have been normal. So
and it's like getting free from prison, I guess. I went through the similar kind of the feeling a few years ago, and it's gotten better for me. But every time I hear a story like this, it reminds me of what it was like when it was at its worst. And it's like the worst. I can't even imagine. I can't even put it into words how awful it is.
Yeah.
And then when you become free of something and you feel more peace. Alhamdulillah. What I wanted to touch on now is, what advice would you give to people who suffer with religious OCD or contamination OCD or all these things? What would you say to them? This is my 3-point plan. This is my plan of like what you should do. So
like, number one, get therapy.
Yeah.
Like it can be expensive. I understand that, but like there's also options if you can't afford it as well. And if you're going through religious OCD, like get a Muslim therapist, because I think that's important.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't see how a non-Muslim therapist would understand.
I agree. Yeah.
And then I think for me, the two takeaway points that I take away from therapy are those two that I've mentioned before, like trusting Allah's mercy.
Of course.
So, like, realizing you're not going to be perfect. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to do things. You're going to
created us in that way.
Yeah,
we're not angels, right?
Yeah,
we are created imperfect.
Yeah, we're going to miss things in wudu or like that's part of human nature. But just realizing that it's okay.
It's absolutely fine.
It's okay not to be perfect and make a mistake. And like when you understand what like mercy is, like it's just like that forgiving. Like it's we make it like a big deal, but in reality it's just like something small that's just forgiven.
Even before we recite the Quran, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, we talk about Allah's mercy there. We talk about at the start of Al-Fatiha. It's like the start of our recitation, and we recite this in Quran in our salah all the time. So it is kind of so fundamental. Is Allah's mercy? It's almost like, I see what you mean. Like, don't worry about it. Allah is most merciful.
Yeah. Like beyond our imagination.
It was beyond our understanding. As humans, we can't understand like what it means to just forgive, and that's it. We are not created that way. And what I wanted to ask next is, in terms of Islamically, how you're kind of bringing those two together, like the OCD, I've done the sessions. How would you say Islamically, you tell people like your advice there is maybe how to kind of marry the two together? You've got therapy. What about the Islamic side?
Yeah, so you sort of have to detach away from like the Q&A and
Islam QA, like as you were talking about, like searching on Google for answers.
Yeah,
and stuff
because
like
I've been speaking to a lot of people through like social media and stuff with OCD, and the one thing you ask is like I asked them, do you use Islam QA sites a lot? And they were like they might say no, but then they're like, yeah, I use it quite a lot. I rely on them a lot. And the reason I've like focused on that area is like in my first session of therapy, that was something my therapist asked me, like, do you use them? And I was like, how does he know that I use it so much?
Of course, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then the thing is, they don't cause OCD, so
you can use them, it's fine, but
they have their purpose, and like they're great tools for most people, not for us directly, because the thing is, it becomes a reassurance checking.
Exactly, it does.
And the problem was for me, eventually those questions, they were too vague. Like I needed specifics. I even when I asked Imam directly my question, I'd have to double check to make sure he understands every part of the question. So even if I got an answer and he's like, yeah, that's all right, I'd have to ask him, are you sure that it's all right? Because I mentioned this, I'm not sure if this is.
I want to be 100% sure. You understood what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Almost every word of like. Yeah. So you were 100%. There's no uncertainty. There's no ambiguity here.
Yeah. There's like. Yeah. You understand my question completely, as if you were me. That's how you need to understand that question.
Yeah.
And so a lot of them didn't realize like it's kind of excessive, this sort of asking, but that's why you have to sort of break away from just like those question and answers and just focus on building a relationship between you and Allah Azza wa Jal.
Exactly. And when you call out to Allah and you have the intention, Allah help me, Allah will help you. It's when you're in such a like despaired state, Allah is most merciful. There's no bounds to it. So when you need help, just ask, and don't. I think it's very difficult for me to say, don't treat it like your ibadah is like a checklist. This is this. If I don't fulfill this, or what if this, what if that, just do your best. And I feel like that what helps me. Just do your best. Don't keep doing wudu again. Don't keep going back and back. And for example, in salah, I did it wrong. Where am I? Like, did I do this right? Just try your best, and that's it. Don't keep giving into the thoughts that, because you never leave the house. You'll keep praying because you did something wrong and you didn't feel right. And that's an issue I had. It never felt right, and I didn't do it right. I need to do it again. Yeah. Stop it. Just finish salah. Alhamdulillah, Allah knows. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what else do I have to say? So looking forward now. So mashallah, you've got you. It's amazing stories here, because it's like there's OCD can get very severe. A lot of people don't understand. So you went through this whole kind of cling thing, the whole room. To this place now. We were sitting on a sofa here. Yeah. We're sitting on a sofa where there's no coffee or tea yet. I can't. When's it getting here? I mean, we're not. But we're here. Look at the mashallah. Look at the progress. And I guess what would be, I guess, religious OCD affects the Muslim community a lot.
Yeah.
Just go through your advice again to the listeners and viewers. What would you say? Take you as an example, mashallah. What would you say? To people suffering now, what would you say? Go and do this.
I think the key is therapy, but like if you can't, you can still start to break down those fears, those doubts that you have. Like the thing is, it's difficult by yourself to just like force yourself to do something that is completely uncomfortable. But and the other thing I think is quite important is like recognizing you're not alone. Of course, I felt very alone when I had OCD. I thought I was like the only person.
You're not. That's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many other like brothers and sisters who have OCD, and a lot of them like they don't talk about it.
They suffer in silence. Basically.
Yeah, they just suffer.
Or they don't even know they have it. That's another thing.
So like for example, my grandma, like before, many years ago, she used to spend like really long in the toilet, and it was like just like a kind of family joke kind of thing. Like she just takes really long. Yeah. But now we kind of understand that she had OCD, yeah, and she just lived with it.
Subhanallah. And I think I can almost do the same thing, like trace it back generations of my family. I was like, you see the few behavior, I was like, yeah, I kind of understand why you used to do that, because I'm the same, almost like that kind of getting reassurance, compulsions, but they didn't have the ability to get therapy, but which is super difficult, and people are still going through that now. I wanted to touch on one thing you mentioned, the NHS and the private therapy. I guess I've been through the NHS as well, and you obviously have as well.
Yeah,
I know it's not the best, and it didn't really help. And you're, mashallah, in medical school, so you kind of, you're in that world anyway.
Yeah.
It may work for some people.
Yeah.
But I guess they don't have the understanding Islamically, like, and our tradition, how we literally live our lives in it.
Yeah.
You just want off the bat them to understand what wudu is, what this is, what our boundaries are, what we can and we can't do straight away, so you can, because it's already difficult in itself. And Inspirited Minds can help find you therapists that can help us with these problems. So what would you say in terms of getting therapy? What people who are struggling to jump into it, what advice would you give to them?
The one thing my therapist told me, like when I was really reluctant, was like, this is the best thing you can spend your money on. There's nothing better for you to spend your money on. And at the time, like, it still seemed like a lot of money, but now when I say it, I say this exact same thing. I say there's nothing better for you to spend your money on, because when, like, my life just like flipped around, like you can't. It's like, before, when I was like bedbound, I used to say like I'm disabled in many ways. I can't do anything like a normal individual, and like, you just cut out that disability, and like return to normality.
That's normality, and that's what we're trying to get to. We're just trying to get to that place where we feel more peaceful. We can do everyday things without this massive struggle. So I guess we can wrap it up here, but let's to conclude. When you're feeling in these awful times, you recognize you have OCD, you get help from your family and support from your friends, and you look for the means to try and improve and try to get better, because something's wrong. And it can get to a severe state. And what we do then, we ask Allah for help, first and foremost, but then we look for people who are most qualified to help us, counsellors and whatnot. And we take the courageous step, we take the brave step to actually go to it, even though it's so difficult, even though it's like massively almost against what we feel. We're scared to do it, and we can be embarrassed, and I was embarrassed, and it's like, you don't want to sometimes admit something's wrong. But once you do that and you trust in Allah, you develop that relationship with Allah, you have the spiritual side, you have the clinical side, you bring them together, and we get to a place where you are more at peace, you are free, or somewhat much more free from this prison of OCD. Is there any other advice you want to give the viewers at home?
I think we've covered most.
We've covered everything, to be honest. There's still no coffee or tea. Let's go get some now. I guess we can wrap it up there. So, assalamu alaikum, everybody. Thank you for joining the Mindful Muslim podcast by Inspirited Minds. We'll see you on the next one, inshallah. And jazakallah khair to our amazing guest. Assalamu alaikum. See you next one. See you at the next one. Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening. Like, follow, subscribe. We're all on all the general social media and podcasting platforms, and we'll see you at the next one, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.